Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Preserving History and Democracy. My name is Cynthia Diaz, Communications Coordinator for the Doña Ana County Clerk's Office. I am joined by the wonderful Bernardine Caporale. Hi, Bern.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. So today we have an incredible guest who's joining us via Zoom. Do you want to go ahead and introduce her?
Please welcome Kylie Kincaid from Texas Tech to the Preserving History and Democracy podcast. I want to thank you so much. I know you're far away and you hooked up with Zoom with us, and I thank you for your time and your support of the podcast. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what sparked your interest in archiving?
So I am an assistant archivist at the Southwest Collection at Texas Tech. My official title is Field Acquisitions, Collection Development, and Outreach Archivist, which just kind of means I'm the first person that touches all the collections. I assess the collections, talk with donors. I do a lot of different things. But I think what sparked my interest in archives was I grew up going to museums a lot and never really thought that could be something along those lines of like preserving history could be an actual job that I could do forever. And so
Right.
I initially got like a degree in English and then did a bunch of stuff with that, but it wasn't something that I loved. And so I found a position that was an archivist, and I was like, that sounds like something I'd want to do. And so the rest is really history. I kind of just pursued it from there. So yeah.
Very cool. Where did you grow up?
So I'm actually from Hobbs, New Mexico,
cool.
Okay.
which is kind of like the border. But I grew up really in DFW.
Can you tell us about the history of the Southwest collections and why they're so important?
So the Southwest Collection was established within Texas Tech University around 1920, but we didn't really begin going out into the community and actively collecting until about 1950. Since then, we've kind of moved buildings and hopped around, so now we encompass around 80,000 square feet of climate-controlled space with lots of documents, lots of boxes of materials. I think we have over like 1 million photographs, hundreds of reels, microfilm, videos, stuff like that. And the numbers change daily because we're always receiving stuff. And I know that we met you all from the Border and Regional Archives group.
That's right.
We joined that is because I think Lubbock is uniquely situated in that it's not exactly the panhandle. It's kind of an island amidst the sea of Texas. We're kind of 5 hours from any other major city in Texas. And I think because of our location, that's what makes us important, is because we serve a lot of the smaller communities on the way to these major places, and we ensure that they aren't forgotten and that their histories are recorded. So that, to me at least, is what makes our archive and the things that we collect so important.
It parallels what we do here so much, really. We have the documents in a climate-controlled vault, and we keep it forever. And it's pretty cool to be in that position where you are storing history, you know. But anyway, what materials do you collect in your repository?
So we have several of what we call units. They're kind of all under the main branch of the Southwest Collection. So we have rare books, our Southwest Music Archive, our University Archive, the Sowell Collection in Literature, Community, and the Natural World, and our Oral History department. So I think when you think of us, typically, you're going to think more of our University Archive materials, which is any and all things related to Texas Tech. It's kind of where some of our fun stuff is. They recently pulled out several old band uniforms because it was our 100th anniversary of our going band.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that they collect some underground student newspapers and magazines and stuff. We have a lot of those from around the Vietnam War, for where students could kind of discuss how they were really feeling instead of in more of the professional newspaper that we have. But they also follow like records retention schedules and things like that. So they also house all of our professors' materials and stuff like that. Our rare books has about 38,000, probably more than that now, volumes of books, illuminated manuscripts, maps from all around the world. I think their research focus is primarily books related to history of science and medicine, literature from America, Russia, places all around Europe. I know we also have a large collection of dowsing books, which are like if you're trying to find oil, you use the two kind of like metal bar almost looking things. We have strangely a large collection of those. And that's kind of our rare books. The Sowell collection is kind of the opposite of rare books. It's where we have a lot of our modern novelists that discuss the natural world. So it was funded by James Sowell, who was a former regent at Texas Tech. And some notable authors in that collection are Barry Lopez and Stephen Graham Jones, who's probably our biggest one. We have a lot of his manuscripts and whatnot. I work a lot with the Southwest Music Archive, which kind of collects the history of music around Lubbock. We have, let's see, what's kind of our usual spiel. It's kind of like around West Texas, places really, really south of Texas, a lot of regional Mexican music. We have a lot of different musicians in that collection. And in a lot of their manuscripts, a lot of fanzines, stuff from Buddy Holly, Joe Ely, Mac Davis, Terry Allen, the Maines brothers, stuff like that. And last is our oral history unit, which every single one of the donors that we have has a unique story and a unique perspective. And so anytime we pick up a collection, we try to get an oral history with them, just because we want to make sure that the story along with the collection is held together and we have more of the history behind the documents that we hold. So
that's a great idea.
Of those as well. And those are all the things.
So how do you organize these units? I would imagine it's kind of hard to organize like the oral histories and the photographs.
Oh, yes. We all kind of work in tandem together, I would say. At the base level, we all process and follow the same sort of metadata standards and stuff like that. But we really do collaborate a lot with one another. We used to, whenever we would process a collection or really just organize it, we would take out all of the photographs and give it to our photograph archivist, or we would take out any sort of digital media or music and give it to the music section. But now we all try to keep everything together, really stick to the original order of the stuff that we get, and we just let each department know that there's stuff in there, especially if they present preservation concerns. So yeah, it's a very collaborative space.
And you had an event for Buddy Holly the other day?
Yes, we had several news crews here just kind of looking at our Buddy Holly stuff, because we have a little bit. We also have a museum here. It's the Buddy Holly Center, I think is just what it's called. We try to send more people over there because she works very closely with his widow, so they have more of the really personal stuff from Buddy Holly. But oh yes,
that's
I forgot.
Cool.
He's over here.
Yes, I was looking
looks
at
familiar.
him.
Yes, that's awesome.
So now, what would you say is some of your most notable collections besides Buddy Holly?
We are probably the most known for our ranching collections. We probably have the largest ranching collection in the nation, I would say. If you want to research ranching, we're probably the people to go to. We have stuff on the Matador Ranch, the Pitchfork Ranch, the Four Sixes Ranch, which I think is the main focus of the show, like Yellowstone, I believe.
Oh, wow.
We have a lot of ranching stuff. We also have an extensive collection of airspace material. We had a researcher once come in that was an astronaut, and he said that anyone could really learn how to be an astronaut just from using the materials that we have.
Oh, wow.
So lots of stuff about airspace. And we also have a lot of newspapers that aren't like the big newspapers that you would find in Texas, like the Dallas Morning News or stuff like that. We have some of the smaller ones from those small towns that I was talking about earlier, from like Spearmint, Amarillo, and stuff like that. So we also have quite an extensive newspaper collection as well.
We have newspapers here too. Yeah, we do.
I think people don't know how valuable newspapers still are. There's a lot of history in newspapers. You've got to have them.
Even
Absolutely.
the ads are historic.
Yeah, there's some cool ads that we've seen on ours.
I love the ads.
Can you share with us some of the collections that you have relating to our county, specifically Doña Ana County? You're out of Texas, but we know that you have some Southwest collections that might pertain to our area as well.
So a lot of our materials are focused, strangely, on the geography of the region. A lot between the 1960s, 1970s. Part of that might be because we might have some unprocessed material that has more of the modern stuff, but we follow a list in terms of when they were donated and kind of process according to that. But I know the two that we kind of talked heavily about beforehand was related to the mining in the area and some interesting geographical anomalies, I guess, that occurred in the region as well. So that is kind of the extent of what we have on y'all's region.
Can you tell us a little bit about this J.T. Sprague?
Yes. So his full name was John Titcomb Sprague. He was born in 1810 in Massachusetts. For most of his life, he was a soldier. He kind of entered the Marine Corps in his 20s. And then from there, he participated in the Mexican-American War and the Second Seminole War, both of which kind of had him stationed around Florida interestingly, to sort of keep an eye on Native Americans in that region. And through this process, he became more sympathetic to the Seminoles and published a book on the Seminole War that's, from what I have read, is still one of the best descriptions of what occurred. But after all of that happened, in 1858, he took a leave of absence to work at the Fort Fillmore Silver Mining Company, which is located in Doña Ana County. And I actually have the document here with me. It has been sort of rebound and
Oh, nice.
a bit of mylar as well, so it's kind of shiny. But this is what it actually looks like, and it's labeled as a memoir, and it really does read like that. He kind of lists all the different minerals and things found, what they did with them, where they shipped them, and he worked there until 1861. And from what I can tell, I think it proved to be a very successful leave of absence. So
Good for him. Is it the memoir of the Stevenson silver mine? Is that what it says on the front?
yes, I believe so.
Cool.
I pulled this from the vault. These are actual documents from the 1880s, and they are enclosed in location notices, proofs of labor, and mine claims from the 1880s. And they're so delicate, I don't even want to scan them in. So maybe
I see
Jacob
this.
can take
I'll
pictures
just
of
take
them.
Pictures of them, yeah.
Yeah, but
This is from Isidoro Armijo, probate
Armijo.
clerk. Okay, cool. So we'll
Yeah.
show that one. It's, very sensitive documents, but how cool.
yeah, there's quite a few because there were a lot of different mines there at the time. But your JT Sprague, I think I'm saying it right, he had the Stevenson mine, and I'm wondering, I went through our newspaper articles too, and it talks about the Lost Padre mine, and it talks about the Stevenson mine and how this couple went out on a prospecting trip. So you know that regular people are even getting out there trying to see what they can find. And they found an abandoned smelter, and they thought for sure this was from the Lost Padre mine. And that was from Las Cruces, Rio Grande Republican newspaper from 1886.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool that we had mining here, and we have all the mining books in the vault.
Wow.
We have mining claims, mining proofs of what did I say? Proofs of work. And we had one from, it was backloaded, proof of labor. That was it, proof of labor. It was backscanned back from 1882, excuse me. It was backscanned into our system because we're always updating what we have. And unfortunately, I couldn't find that, but I did bring out the rest of the claims, and we have a lot of them here.
I learned a lot just from, looking at this, and I had no idea the region was so rich in minerals and stuff like that.
Well, speaking of minerals, let's go on to the next geographic feature you have in your collection.
So, to me, this one was very interesting. It was a proposal for infilling mechanics of terrestrial, and bear with me because I am not a geologist. It's a crateriform mare, which was, his proposal was supposed to occur between September 1st, 1969 and September 1st, 1971. And the professor who proposed this, I should say, was Dr. Corbin. He went by Tex Reeves Jr. So to break all of that sort of sciencey stuff down, a crateriform is a bowl-shaped crater, and a mare is defined as a volcanic crater with very little depth, and it also tends to be very circular in shape. So according to his initial proposal, he found, or really related his research to several other formations around Doña Ana County. So the Kilbourne Hole, Hunt's Hole, those were already, before he proposed to this, were determined to be created by a phreatic explosion. And from what I could tell was, instead of, I guess, lava coming up from the ground, it was a lot of steam and pressure that built up and then sort of erupted. But it's just steam, I believe. So he wanted to travel to Doña Ana County to study the Phillips Hole to determine whether the ground was topographically low, so just kind of naturally a bit lower than the rest of the ground, or was an actual incipit mar, which just meant that at some point it was showing early beginnings of becoming an area where there might be a volcanic eruption. And what we have in the documents, and I unfortunately don't have those with me, he applied for several grants for drills, several applications to study the soil to see if there was any sort of like volcanic evidence in the soil. And he even contacted NASA, who eventually came back and denied his application.
Oh, poor guy.
I know. But since we only have the proposal, I'm unsure if he was able to go and conduct the study, but that is what we have, is his proposal for that research.
Very cool. Now, why would these documents be in your collection?
So typically, kind of as I said earlier, anything that is a professor's proposal or anything related to their research makes its way to the university archives. They kind of have to report it to to the archives. That way we can preserve that. So that particular instance came to us through that way, was that he was a professor here wanting to conduct the research near you all. Other times, like with this, it could just be that when someone is in the area and donating their materials, it just happens to be included in it, and we make sure that it's preserved because we want it to stay with the rest of the donors' materials and kind of respect their wishes. So, but most of the time, I think a lot of what we have that isn't in the area relates to professors or stuff. So that's how it enters our hands. Because we would rather it go to the places that might benefit more from it. Someone from Dona Ana might have a harder time traveling to Lubbock than if this was just, with y'all.
Right.
So we try not to encroach on other people's archives for that reason.
Well, it's kind of cool that it's a whole collection of the Southwest, and we are included.
Yeah, it's nice to know that a piece of Doña Ana's over there in Texas Tech, so that's pretty awesome. I'm always curious because we've had a few archivists here in our podcast. What's your favorite collection in your archives?
Let's see. I feel like I have a few. I think one of my favorites are, we have one that was the Anne Phillips papers, and it was one that I processed. It was one of my very early ones, but initially her collection was under her husband's name. And the more that I dug into it, the more I realized, these were her papers. It was about, she was a theater teacher here, and she had also traveled all over the world in the, I want to say it was the 30s through the 50s, just watching theater performances. So we had a lot of really cool playbills from all over the world between those time periods. And it was just kind of fun to go through. And like you said, the ads are definitely historical artifacts. There were so many old makeup ads that were really fun. And then just any of our music archives.
Well, I got interested in these geographic features because I'm kind of new to this area. I've been here almost 4 years now, and I had never heard of them. And it was said when I was reading about it that it's part of the Organ Mountains Desert Peaks National Monument. So I assumed that it was in the Organ Mountains. But then I came upon a website that had their actual address with coordinates.
Wow.
And I decided to go to the parcel map. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
It led me down a rabbit hole. But anyway, in the parcel map, you can see the 3 holes. It's Kilbourne Hole, Phillips Hole, and I can't read this one. There's another hole.
Hunt's Hole might be the third one.
Hunt's Hole, yes.
Sorry, I can't see with these glasses. And then I got a regular picture with them. So, Jacob, you can put them up. And what I found out is that, like most of the land belongs to BLM, except for this one little section where the hole is. And this got me very curious. So I went to the deeds and I put in a request for who owned this land. And it was actually a lease from the BLM to a ranch, JCJ Ranches LLC, New Mexico Limited Liability Company. And I'm still curious. I don't have the answer. Why would they be interested in having their cattle roam on this particular land? But then I'm not a geologist. Maybe it's rich in
soil,
something and it grows grass better. So if there's a geologist out there that knows, come and reach out to us.
Let us know.
I have no idea why, but yeah, that was interesting to find that it is BLM land, but that particular, around all 3 holes actually are the ranch owned areas.
Yeah, I wanted to see if I could reach out to the professor who conducted that research, but he unfortunately, I think, passed away a few years ago. I do want to know if he actually went or and what he determined, but
Well, thank you for bringing
Yes.
the Doña Ana connection here from
pretty
your
cool.
your TTU to us here in Doña Ana.
yes, of
Yes,
course.
we appreciate it.
We've been to the area now a few times, and it's just so beautiful there. And so it's nice to know, like you all said, that we do have some pieces of that history here with us. So thank you so much for having me, and I really appreciate all the work that you guys do. And yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us virtually, Kylie. We appreciate it a lot. Thank you for joining us for this episode. Thank you, Bern, for finding another great topic for us. This is pretty awesome that you took it somewhere else and brought it back to Doña Ana.
Yeah.
Thank you to Jacob behind the camera for everything that he does. Thanks to our guest, Kylie Kincaid, for joining us. Make sure to listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts, and we'll see you next time.